Who am I? I'm Joan Shankster Green.
How old are you?
101. Well, I was born in England. When I left school, I had an apprenticeship with hats, millinery, and window dressing. I did my 3 years in there. When I'd finished that, I went to work in London in Pemberton. Also made hats for Lady Churchill. Then, of course, the war came along, so travelling into London wasn't that good. So therefore, I left, came back and worked in Hounslow. What was
your mother like?
Oh, she was lovely. A lady, a typical lady. She could read, she could write, and she had a very nice speaking voice. In those days, if you could read and write, you were quite educated.
What about your father?
Oh, he was great. Had 3 sisters and 2 brothers. But they were all much older than me. It was just a mistake, I think, as far as my mother was concerned. I had a lovely childhood. Very, very spoiled in a nice way. I never knew my grandparents. I wish I had.
Yeah.
Been lovely. I suppose really our first holiday where we went to Southend of all the places to go. We never really celebrated birthdays, not like you do now. We always had nice clothes and kept quite nicely. When I used to come home from work for lunch, when I worked in Hounslow, every Monday I had scallops as a meal, which was nice. I used to look forward to that. In the show, the Sunday lunch always roast beef and all the bits and pieces, potatoes and vegetables. But then again, it would only probably be my mother, my father, and myself. The others they were married with their own families.
Can you recall any first memories?
Having my dolls, yes, just playing with the dolls in their pram and doing what children do. Where we lived, there was a great big playing field at the back, so we used to go through the fence and play with our dolls and prams. It sounds very dull, but the thing is, that's how you were in those days. Quite simple things, really. Dress the doll, undress it, feed it, with this little bottles and things like that. I loved school. I went to Alexandra School to start with, and then when you get to 11, you go to another school, which was a Bush State school. I liked that. I was captain of the class there, which made it nice. I used to wear a yellow girdle to show I was the captain. I used to darn the headmistresses' new stockings, because in those days they wore thick stockings. And before she wore, she'd always have the heels darned and stitched. And she would always give me a Toblerone for doing it. My first kiss, I was very fussy. 16, I should imagine. On the cheek. I had loads of boyfriends, but when I say that, they're friends. I had as many boyfriends more than girlfriends. I used to go to the parties. I used to play the piano.
Do you remember how old you were when you learned to drive?
1959. I know I passed first time, if that helps. I meet quite a lot of nice people. Interesting people. I enjoyed doing what I did after work.
For fun?
Basically, you go home and you change and probably go out for the evening, meet your friends, maybe go to the pictures. Nothing exciting. Ice skating. I used to do a lot of ice skating.
Your husband?
Oh, he was lovely. Very sincere, generous, always willing to help somebody. He was a nice person.
What was his name?
James.
What did James do for his career?
He came up with services. Jobs were hard to get. So he took a job in the firm. He ended up being a supervisor for their whole lot of shops in London. He would go around and make sure they're all pulling their weight, doing what they should be doing. He did that for the rest of his life, and he retired at 50. I still kept working. We had the salon, and I used to run the salon. When I retired, we used to play golf every day, different golf courses. Belonged to the club here, which is Burr Hill.
How was retirement?
Oh, loved it. I think James and I had a lovely time together. When it rained, we used to go into the garden, collect the snails, put them in a bucket, wash them all down, feed them with oats. We used to eat the snails, which they call escargot. When he went off to war, Mummy was left with the children getting under the air raid shelter. We had an incendiary bomb come through a loft, and I had to go up and put it out. There was no one else in the house, only James was in the army. I had to go up into the loft and put it out. We had buckets of sand ready. So you had to take the sand up, put it on with the bomb, hope for the best.
Were you scared when you had to do this?
No, you prepared for it really in a sense because it was happening all the time. They would just come down and you could be walking along. We just used to take it in our stride.
Do you remember the end of the war?
But yes, everybody celebrated. They celebrated in the road with pleasant things with the table on. And everybody would take food out and put on there and they'd all round that. That was the celebration, the end of the war.
The secret to a long life.
Just take care of yourself, eat sensibly, be sensible, don't moan about your aches and pains. Just say, well, I haven't got it, and get on. Override it if you can, which I do. Got on with it and enjoyed it, taking it as it comes sort of thing.
Advice to someone that has their whole life ahead of them.
I'd probably not worry so much about things. I probably wouldn't want things to be so perfect. I think if you can have a more sort of carefree attitude, that works better.
Thank you for your time, Nana. You're an inspiration to all of us.
It's a job to remember everything, really. You forget names, which is quite annoying at sometimes.
Yeah, I can imagine.